Welcome back to the Castaway Consultants, where we teach future Survivor players how to play the game by criticizing current players. And today, we are stopping with All the Nice with Episode 6 of Season 43 of Survivor. I am your host, Derek Kubicek, and returning in person for the first time in a while, Ryan Stacy and Josh Wessler. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm always in person.
Yeah, Ryan, how you doing?
I'm good. You know, let's get into spoilers really quick. Just real quick. Spoiler alert for this episode, because I need to say something, and I can't do it without spoilers. So spoiler, you've been warned. 3, 2, 1. LOL, Jeff Probst and your stupid ass knowledge is power advantage. Get absolutely wrecked. It's out of the game again without being used properly. You love to see it.
Okay, we can exit spoilers, but there was that one little throw that Ryan had to get in, and he tweeted as well. Hi, Josh.
Hello, good to be back.
And here in the flesh, in person, for those of you who are out seeing this on YouTube, we're all at the same table.
Woo! Woo!
So, yeah, before we jump into, I suppose, this episode proper, there are some things that, you know, in case you missed our tweet, I just wanted to go through really, really quickly from last week.
Oh, yeah, Dirk, did you have any specific thoughts on last week's episode? Not a lot happened, especially, you know, regarding you.
No, okay. My winner pick, Lindsay, is gone. She is DOA. The second any kind of pressure was applied, a diamond was not created.
She's no Cassidy.
She exploded. She melted. Whichever verb you want to use. I was listening to the podcast, and Josh, you were actually being, I think, a little bit generous to Lindsay. So I am going to take a moment to not be generous to Lindsay. You said sometimes you can have a really good Survivor player who just don't have a chance to get their legs beneath them. You know, I'm paraphrasing, but it was something along those lines. What happened to Lindsay doesn't happen to a good Survivor player. If you melted down just because your pre-merge tribe was so dominant for so long that the second any adversity, and by the way, that adversity was the mere existence of tribal council, you deserve to go home. So while I'm always happy to make the Tina Wesson pick, I have to remember that the Tina Wesson pick is the Tina Wesson pick for a reason. There's only one Tina Wesson. So it's a hard game to pull off. It's a winning game if you can do it. And obviously, Lindsay, she fit the archetype based on demographic. But, you know, a lot more goes into Survivor than that. So Lindsay was obviously a subpar Survivor player when it was time to get into the frying pan and into the fire or however. And she was bad. So I get to move on to a new winner pick. And I don't know if you guys just know me that well.
We do.
We do.
Or if you understand that if you just use a little bit of logic, there's only like 2 or 3 options, I think, to swap to. I did fall on Owen. I did not want to pick a single person on the Vessi tribe. Messy Vessi, I mean, the only viable pick was Jesse, and he was in a bad spot. Yeah, Messy Vessi Jesse. Anyway, I didn't want to pick anybody on Coco because voting out Lindsay, I agree with you guys. Wrong move. Just get through that one, and then you've got a solid 4-person alliance from day one, mind you. So I didn't want to pick anyone on Coco, and there's just something about Carla that she feels like a voted out 5th, or like voted out at 5th place or 6th place to me. So I didn't want to pick Carla. So now I'm on Baca. You don't pick Ellie. You don't pick Janine. You don't pick Gabler. That leaves Owen and Sammy. Give me the life experience. I'm going with Owen. So that was how I whittled down my decision. Whether you agree or disagree with that, that's
doesn't matter.
That was my.
It's Derek's pick.
That was my method. It's my pick, and you know what? My first pick was garbage. So here's hoping that I just roll between a ton of guys, and before we get to the end. So
speaking of garbage winner picks, uh-oh.
Ryan, how's your namesake doing here?
Not great, Bob. He's not doing well for Ryan's out there.
Ryan's not making Ryan's proud.
Not representing tonight. You guys ready to jump into this episode?
Yeah,
let's do it.
We can just get into the spoiler section. I hogged the intro, so thank you.
All right. So the episode begins. We're at the Coco tribe getting back from tribal council. It turns out Ryan and Gio were brought in on the Lindsay vote at the last minute last time, which is what we were wondering about. And Ryan and Gio kind of threw a backup vote on Cassidy, just in case. So it was all strategic. Gio's going to fess up to it. He tells Cassidy it was Ryan's idea. So Gio believes Cassidy's on the outs, but really it's Ryan and Gio who are on the outs, and Carla's the one who's like, yeah, I'm glad that they think they're in charge. They're not. And you know, it's like great for Carla, not great for my winner pick.
Yeah, I still don't like the fact that they voted out Lindsay, because you could have had a really strong group of 4 here instead of going 3 versus 2, and then you had to worry about advantages and yada yada yada. But from Ryan and Gio's perspective, man, you're really being overconfident, and they have no reason to believe that the vote changed right at the end from Gio or whoever was going to be over to Lindsay. They think that was the plan maybe all along. So I guess that's why they're super confident.
Yeah, they thought it was Cassidy first, and then changed to Lindsay. I'm like, okay. So not great for those two, and it's not going to go well for these two in this episode.
I also really hate that they decided to throw a vote onto Cassidy. I think it shows their hand a little bit, because they didn't gain anything from it, and they stood very little to gain.
Yeah.
There's 17% chance that they might gain something from this. That's pretty low odds to tick off someone who you need to work with.
Sure.
So I don't like the move to even mitigate the shot in the dark possibility. Not in this scenario.
So Janine is going to find the Beware advantage over on Baca. And she's going to tell Ellie, and she's like, hey, should I take it? And Ellie's like, yeah, take it. I really like this move for Ellie to convince Janine to take the Beware advantage.
And she was so excited to do it, too. And I was like, yep, you know what, Ellie, I like this. This is good.
Now, to be fair, I do think this was the right move for Janine to take the Beware advantage, because she is in a bad spot. She didn't know she was in a bad spot. She took this for the wrong reasons, so she made the right move, but for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I'll still give her credit for it.
Yeah, oh yeah, I will too.
Because maybe it just hasn't been, vocalized on screen at it, that she's, maybe she's confident, but not like 100% confident that that's where the direction that they're going to go. So I'll give her credit for it. Would not recommend, especially since you have Gabler still on this tribe who has an idol. Like that just throws so much just confusion and just question marks all over the place about what could happen.
To me, Ellie and Janine right now are like that episode of SpongeBob. I'm sorry for people who have not seen that show, but Patrick, he's got like the valuable card in his hand. He's walking through the construction site, and all the bad things are just barely missing him, and he's clueless about the whole thing. And he goes, you can't always expect my usual brand of stupidity. I like to mix it up and keep you on your toes. So, yeah, she did it for the wrong reason, and she's narrowly missing disaster along the way.
Until disaster finally does strike, they're talking about how they shouldn't tell Owen. Owen's going to walk up and see him, and they have to tell Owen.
Owen doing his best Amanda Kimball impersonation and being in the right place at the right time to walk up on the advantage. Owen, not great that they don't trust you, but it is, I think, good that he was given an opportunity by fate to prove that he's trustworthy.
Yep.
So, good for him for being in the right place at the right time.
And this is really interesting just because it came through in confessional that he's basically saying, I need to make a decision on which way I'm going. Not at a vote, but at whether or not I'm going to give up these beads.
And that's the big question, because they're going to tell Sammy as well, and we get confessionals from both of them, like, should we give up the beads? The answer is yes. If you're trying to play both sides and you don't have to make, like, the final call yet because you're not going to tribal council, you keep everyone happy, you hand over the beads. So Sammy and Owen are going to do it willingly, which I really like for both of them. Janine is going to trick Gabler into handing over a bead. And then we're going to cut to Sammy telling Gabler, like, hey, when you gave over that bead, now she's got an idol. Congratulations, you just gave Janine a hidden immunity idol.
Yeah, and one thing I don't want to really gloss over, Ellie is the one who told Sammy.
Yeah, Ellie told Sammy.
And when she had a moment on the beach, she's like, this is Janine's information to tell you, but I'm going to tell you anyway. So Sammy is in really well with these girls. I'm going to say he's in really well with Ellie for sure, but it's sort of implied that Janine ended up telling him anyway. So I do want to credit Sammy's social game for being brought in on this very valuable, potentially hazardous piece of information, because you are letting someone hold power over you. They believe that they are a 4 versus Gabler right now.
Which I still can't believe, since he has an idol. Like, they're really going all in on this, he's not going to play it card.
Which is foolish.
Which does not make sense. It's not going to matter, not going to pay off at all, because we're heading into the merge here.
Yep.
And I think the fact that we're so close to the merge, even though it really snuck up on us, it seems like. But since we're so close, I think that just kind of adds emphasis on, just give them the beads, because why ruffle feathers when you might not even go to a vote?
Don't ruffle feathers unless you have to. I think is a good way to play Survivor. We're going to go to the immunity challenge, which just felt so early tonight.
It was 7:16. So we were 16 minutes into the episode when that immunity challenge hit.
Yep. Vessi's going to win, followed by Baca, but Coco was in the lead, and the final challenge was Skee-Ball, basically, with Ryan competing for Coco, and he blows it. But he's going to tell us in confessionals he threw it on purpose so they could vote out Cassidy. What a stupid move.
You know, I sometimes I really do feel like we're a broken record, but Ryan and I are very big fans of the good old challenge throw.
Love the challenge throw.
This is not the time!
Absolutely not.
And not taking it into your own hands, too. If you single-handedly are throwing the challenge, I mean, no one expects it. Like, no one thinks he actually threw the challenge. So I guess you did a good job at hiding it. But at the same time, why?
Big why. So this is terrible for Ryan. This is not the time and a place for a challenge throw. Reserve those generally for tribe swaps if you're going to do them, and even then, use them sparingly. As much as we love them, they're frequently a bad move.
And I feel like the right time to use a challenge throw is becoming more and more sparse as we move further into this modern version of Survivor.
Mario Party Survivor,
Yes.
Chance Time Survivor.
Yeah.
So many advantages going around, so much uncertainty. Just probably don't do it.
Yeah, tribe immunity is one of the few certainties if you're not in season 41 and 42.
Yep.
But we know that that's gone.
So Vessi gets to send someone from each tribe on a quest and one of their own. So they're going to pick Gio, which is a move I really like because Gio's one of the weaker members of Coco.
Solid. Honestly, the best pick.
Yeah, I would say so.
Honestly, the best.
And then, honestly, another great pick, Janine for Baca. Great pick.
For flying blind and also inside baseball, possibly like they can't pick repeats.
I'm guessing they can't do repeats.
They couldn't really have done any better.
Yep.
If they're aiming to create the most chaos.
Now, Jesse volunteers to go. Don't love that. Play rock, paper, scissors or something.
Yeah, I know there are only 3 people left. On
Noel's
your
gone.
So only 2.
And Dwight.
So it's
and
him
Dwight's
or,
gone.
So it's him or Cody.
So, yeah, and Cody's got an idol. So I guess it makes some sense for Jesse to go between those two. So it's fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
So on Coco, Ryan's got this genius plan. He wants to tell Cassidy that everyone's going to vote for Ryan. He wants Carla and James to be like, hey, we're voting Ryan out because he blew the challenge. And he even goes to Cassidy and be like, yeah, I think they're coming for me. And you know what? It's okay. You can vote for me if that's what you have to do. It's okay. I understand. He's just like trying to pull all the votes on him. It's so blatantly obvious. It's so bad. And he is such a bad read on the situation. Just like, Ryan, no. You're representing us poorly.
Yeah, regardless of, this may be turning against you and the vote getting flipped on you, the way that he did it was, like you said, so obvious and you could see right through it. So anyone that, might be left in the dark on this should be able to snuff it out immediately. And I mean, Cassie has some, inside knowledge from other people on the tribe, so she already knows, but, she talks to him directly and you can't be any more obvious than what he was.
I don't know about you guys, but if I'm in my mid-20s playing a reality television show for $1 million and I lost a hero leg of a challenge, I wouldn't be like, oh, well, shucks. I deserve it. Seriously, the dude's hands were like made out of bacon or something because he was hamming it up.
Yeah.
Well, and the fact that like everyone's basically such a super fan now, like if anyone just rolls over like this, don't believe it.
Yep.
There's no reason to. Everyone wants to be here.
It is a lie. It's a lie. Until we see it happen again where it's not a lie, it's a lie. Yeah, at this point, the old data points are irrelevant.
What is this, like the early 20s?
And what's hilarious is a lot of times when people genuinely want to get voted out, they get held captive.
It's hilarious. But again, we haven't seen stuff like that in a long time.
But all I'm saying is it doesn't matter what era of Survivor you're looking at. Either you don't believe them or you hold them hostage.
Right.
like either way, Ryan, this doesn't work.
So the question is Ryan or Gio, who's going? Cassie wants to get rid of Ryan because Gio might get something on Mystery Adventure Island, which he's going to. So it's less risky to take out Ryan. Okay, logic is sound.
I think that's fair. Yeah, you kind of have the, blindside approach for Gio and taking out what an advantage that could be in the game, but I like the less risky play.
As long as we are talking about Cassidy's point of view in retaliation against Gio and Ryan, sort of.
Between Gio and Ryan.
Cassidy should want to target Ryan. I agree with that. It's the tribe as a whole. We'll get into that later.
Yep, we'll get into more of that because we got to get more information. Over on Mystery Adventure Island, Gio, Janine, and Jesse, they got to do a boat trip, a paddling trip this time, and get to know each other. Gio's going to really try and sell, like, hey, I'm in trouble. I'm going to risk my vote. And Janine and Jesse are like, we don't care. We're going to risk our votes, too.
Yeah, Janine says, like, in confessional, yeah, I don't believe it. Like, I don't buy this underdog story. Jesse did buy it, but he didn't care. He still did it anyways. So one of the things that I got from it, and it doesn't really matter anymore since Gio's gone, but basically everyone is seen through Gio.
Yep.
Everyone on his tribe sees through it, can see that he's trying to control the game, be whatever he's trying to do. But the exact same thing for these people who met him for whatever amount of time. Same thing for them.
All three of them are going to risk their vote. Gio and Janine are interesting because the two of them are both in bad spots in the tribe. Neither of them really know it. They are going to accidentally get this right and risk their votes because if they knew the whole truth, yeah, risk your vote. You need to. You got to make a move here. You got to try and save yourself. They're just doing it because, like, they don't need my votes. We got this game so locked down, we don't need my vote. Right move, wrong reasons. Jesse, on the other hand, I don't think he should have risked his vote because he's in such a tight, close thing. It's so dangerous. You really need your vote in a tribe of 4. Granted, it's not going to matter because we're going into a merge next week, so it's going to loosen up. But you don't know that for sure. This is kind of a, I don't want to say unprecedented, but this is a little bit unusual because we're going to only 5 votes and we're going to merge. So that's early. Mm-hmm. It makes sense if you think about it because in 41 and 42, it was 5 episodes, but one of those episodes had a double eviction or a medical evacuation.
Double eviction.
2 people got voted out in 41 in the first episode, and then in 42 we had Jackson getting evacuated. It doesn't make sense to have 6 vote outs with a tribe of 6 without a tribe swap or a merge. Like, you can't do that. So if you really thought about it, it does make sense. But again, we haven't really seen this before specifically. So you really have to, like, understand, like, production to understand that. So it's going to work. I think it's going to work out okay for Jesse, even though he's going to lose his vote. He's going to get lucky. This was a bad move. He should not have risked his vote.
Correct. And from what we've seen, he doesn't know that Noelle has an advantage.
Right.
I wouldn't necessarily believe her when she says that she didn't get it or she didn't risk her vote, whatever she ended up saying to him. I would just always assume that someone has an advantage. So if he was thinking in that mindset, just like, oh, we're going to be outnumbered because Noelle has an advantage, so I need to risk my vote because I need to get an advantage as well, that'd be one thing. But he didn't say any of that. So, yeah, by that reasoning, wrong move.
One thing about Jesse being a very cerebral player, or just at least a very cerebral individual, from his perspective, I'm wondering if he's not taking the side that Dwight and Noelle might target Cody. Cody will destroy them with the idol by playing it on himself, and he has a working relationship, by the way, Jesse does, so he doesn't have to worry about getting votes, and then Cody's 1 vote will take out whoever Cody wants. He must think that that's reasonable and likely enough that he can risk his vote in the meanwhile. Either that or he is very suspectful of a merge right around the corner, very suspicious of it. I don't like it either. I do think that it is the wrong move today at this exact moment, but it's not the biggest sin committed in this episode.
No. Jesse and Janine are both going to lose their votes. Gio is going to win the advantage, and it turns out it's knowledge is power.
The old Kip is back. Okay, Liana had it in 41. Who had it in 42?
Drea tried to use it on Mike.
That's right. Drea was full
Mike
of hardware.
faked him out. Jesse and Janine both ended up telling their tribes everything, and just like, here, lost my vote. Gio's going to tell his tribe, didn't risk my vote, didn't go for it because we have tribal council tonight. But then he's going to tell Carla the truth and reveal he got knowledge is power.
Credit to Carla's social game.
Yep.
Yeah, and this is probably a good opportunity to shout out someone who mentioned us in a tweet. So Brandon Straight at BStraight7 on Twitter mentioned, I think Jesse may have just played himself out of the game. At his next tribal, only 3 people can vote, and 2 of them are a pretty close pair. Cody won't like the odds and will be playing his idol. The safe play for Dwight and Noelle will be to vote Jesse out. So what do we think of that scenario? I know it's not really going to come to a head or anything because we're going into the merge, but just hypothetically, since they don't know that they're merging at this point, Jesse's decision here.
If they had one more tribal council with just the 4 of them.
And I was going to say, let's just pretend that this exact scenario came up 2 episodes ago, right?
Sure.
I guess I already laid out my position on it. I feel like Jesse weighed the odds and he feels like he has enough of a working relationship. I would agree that if they're going for a risk-free vote, but why would they think that Cody has an idol? They don't suspect him of having anything.
Sure.
So I guess I almost have to trust Jesse to know that this was risky and very precarious given their tribe dynamic. But I don't think it's as cut and dry, and I don't think it would have necessarily sunk his game. Only 3 votes in play, and your close ally, who is the bigger target for the other 2, has an idol. I think that it's not a death knell, but it's definitely something to watch out for.
I think... I last 2 episodes, I predicted Jesse would go if Fessy lost again. This worsened his position overall. The only thing I could say that they, since I guess he told him he lost his vote, so therefore he didn't get anything. So they know he lost his vote. They know he's vulnerable. Why not take him out? When Cody, you just don't know. If Jesse had lied and been a little more shady about it, maybe they can think Jesse has something. We'll target Cody instead. But I think in this situation, I think Jesse might have played himself out of the game. But merge, so.
Yeah, plus Noel had to steal a vote. That is the one thing that brings back a little bit for me, is that if they wanted to make a move with that steal a vote, it wouldn't have mattered whether or not Jesse had a vote in this situation. It's almost exactly like the same result without needing to use the steal a vote.
Yeah.
You're now up 1.
You cut out a step.
Yep, basically. So basically, like you said, I don't know. I don't think it was a death sentence, but obviously probably don't do that.
So Carla, she's going to tell James and Cassidy about the knowledge is power advantage. And because Carla has an idol that nobody else knows about this thing, and I love it, she wants to get rid of Gio to get this thing out of here. Fair. That's fair from Carla's perspective, I think.
And this is why you don't share everything.
Yep.
Because you have stupid advantages like the knowledge is power.
Now, James is on board. Cool, we'll get rid of Gio. Cassidy is worried because she is scared something is going to get played. She's going to get knocked out instead.
A fair fear.
And she's digging in her heels a little bit, and Carla and James are like, maybe we should vote out Cassidy instead.
Okay, and here's the thing. I get where they're going with this, where she's worried that votes are coming her way, because they are.
Yep.
But it's so different because, she's bouncing between Gio and Ryan, and just like, I think we should go for Ryan instead of Gio because advantage, whatever it might be. Completely different from Lindsay, because Lindsay's was a trust-based thing.
Yep.
Hers was, I don't know if you guys are with me. I'm worried that the vote's going to be me tonight because you guys are lying to me, essentially. That is not what this is. So if they would have made the decision because it was the same thing as Lindsay, I would have been really disappointed, because it's not.
No, it's absolutely not the same thing.
You can make the decision for other reasons.
Yes.
But not for that reason.
So Carla and James, they want Gio. Cassidy wants Ryan. That's the thing we're at. So James suggests voting out Cassidy, which for James is the right move, because you can just cut her out. Gio and Ryan trust you guys right now. You have goodwill with them. You can use that going to the merge 4 strong. Nobody's mad at each other. You're all great. Ryan and Gio are super overconfident. You can take them out whenever you feel like it, and they will not see it coming because they're just so overconfident. By voting out Gio and keeping Cassidy, great. You have Cassidy, who will be a good ally, I think. That's only 3 of you. Ryan doesn't trust you anymore. So I think this was, for James, this was the bad move. For Carla, I'm a little more understanding, because just get rid of that knowledge of power. I do get that for Carla, and I can understand and respect that. This was a bad move for James.
I'm going to take a maybe more hardened, cemented position on this. What they did was rob Peter to pay Paul. They voted out Lindsay last week because she was being paranoid. That set them on the track, whether they knew it or not, that they need to go with Gio and Ryan for the rest of the pre-merge as long as circumstances allow it. Because they were like, hey, it's going to be Cassidy. And they're like, hey, we have this thing that's come up with Lindsay. We need to do her instead, but we can do Cassidy next time. Obviously, that was a discussion that had taken place at some level. Now, like you already mentioned, you've pissed off Ryan in order to save the one person, and that's not a working relationship you can take into it. Now is as good a time as any to bring up, historically in Survivor, who does the best once you get to the merge? The most unified tribe. Mm-hmm. We saw it last year with, last season with Omar and Marianne and Jonathan and
Taku tribe.
And what was Lindsay? They rode it so deep into the merge, and any one of them, except Jonathan, could have won that game. Mm-hmm. One did win the game, and the other 2 were the front runners.
Yep.
Coco could have been that. It could have been that with James, Lindsay, Cassidy, and Carla, and it could have been that with Ryan, Gio, Carla, and James.
Yep.
And now we are going in fractured, just like the other 2 tribes. So for entertainment, I am so excited for Emerge because all 3 of these tribes are coming in with severe baggage, but the game bot in me is so ticked off that everyone has absolutely eschewed tribe unity. Like, they're all just like, no, we're just going to do whatever's good for us right now. Coco, you had a chance to do it right. You chose not to. Bad.
So it's going to be 3 votes for Gio, 2 votes for Cassidy in the end. Ryan's going to be on the outs. This is the wrong move. I'm a little more forgiving at Carla just because get knowledge power out of here. But yeah, this is horrible for James.
Yeah, and this is assuming that they feel like they can, at least short-term, trust Gio and Ryan. I do want to put one kind of asterisk on this because Cassidy is my winner pick. But at the same time, I do think that this was the wrong move as well. But that one asterisk is that they have mentioned a couple of times that they don't really trust Gio completely.
Nobody trusts
and they think that he's going to play hard, which means that, either at the merge or shortly after the merge, he might be coming for you. So is this necessarily, or would this necessarily be a really strong group of 4 going through the merge? No, probably not. Whereas this group of 3 should. I'm not going to say it will because they're all game players. They're all going to be playing the game of Survivor, which means that anything is possible. Anyone's throat can get cut. But I think the probability that the 3 of them stick together is a lot higher than the probability that the 4 of them would have stuck together.
Carla, James, and Cassidy could be a very powerful 3. Could, if they can make it. That's a big question mark now.
And I'm definitely on the side that we know as viewer they would have been the strongest 4 going in, but they said goodbye to that. Another thing, as much as we hate Kip, Carla, you could have used the information about the bead gathering to help Gio get an idol of his own, and Gio does not play a nuanced game. You don't have to really worry about Gio with an idol. Yeah. She can just say, like, hey, Cody told me he has an idol.
Oh, gotcha.
Like, you can be more nuanced than that, but, like, she has the information, and she can use that, feed it to Gio, who'll be like, haha, inside information. I can use my Kip advantage to get an idol.
Yes, you can use that as a weapon, but also, if you have an idol, you don't want that in the game. So I get where Carla's coming from.
Relatively speaking, it's worse for James than her. I agree with that.
All right, let's get to best worst player of the episode. For best player of the episode, Derek, who do you got?
I had Sammy, actually, because I felt like Carla made the wrong move, even though she had the social game to get the information. James made the wrong move. Obviously, Ryan threw a challenge for no reason. Cassidy was panicky. She did end up getting kind of her way, but she didn't get Ryan out. She survived. I didn't want to pick anybody on the Vessi tribe because the only person we saw was Jesse, and we all agreed that was the wrong move. So that leaves me with Baka. I don't have Janine because even though she has an idol now, she risked her vote, which was the right move, but she has no vote now and she's still in the minority. Sammy had the social game to find out about that information. He told Gabler, and I think that was the one good thing with no bad thing that anybody did. So Sammy's the only one who was full on positive, did only good things or showed good things this episode. So I landed on Sammy.
Oh man. I'm going to go with Janine here. I don't love it, mostly just because she made the right decisions for the wrong reasons, and I'd rather give it to someone for doing it on purpose. But, results are results. Yes, she ended up losing her vote, but she also got an idol in this episode. Yes, everyone knows about it, but going into the merge, that's also not necessarily like the worst thing in the world, too. So you probably would have shared most of that information with your original tribe going into the merge. So I'm not going to ding her too much for that. There really wasn't enough from other people, and anyone else who did stuff good also did stuff bad here that brought them down further than Janine. So that's why I'm going to give it to her.
Yeah, I agree. I have Janine. I like that she got the beware advantage, even though for the wrong reasons. She got an idol. I like that she risked her vote, so even though she did lose it, I think it was the right move to go for it. So I'm going to go with Janine, even though it's flawed, but I didn't think there's anybody better. Sammy was good, but I thought Janine was better.
I'd even give Owen a little bit of an honorable mention there, too.
And my big distinction, it was either Owen or Sammy for me. The big distinction is that because they didn't initially trust Owen, he had to kind of stumble across it. You get credit for being in the right place at the right time, but it's way better if people are making you be in the right place because you're the right person. So that's why I give more credit to Sammy.
How about worst player? Josh, who you got?
There's so many options here, but, Ryan is just a terrible Survivor player. And same with the Ryan on this season, too.
Yeah, no, as much as I hate to do it to my own winner pick, Ryan is the worst player of the episode.
Ryan, I want to throw a really big dishonorable mention out to James. You had to finish what you started. I should have voted out Cassidy tonight and gone in as a fairly strong 4, and at least Carla had the idle reason to want to the idol of the whole thing to take out Gio. Yep. So dishonorable mention to James, but yeah, I agree that it's Ryan.
Let's check in with Twitter. So we all agreed that this was ultimately the wrong move to get rid of Gio. It should have been Cassidy ultimately. What did Twitter think?
Twitter very heavy here on the yes side that the right person went home. 83% said that yes, the right person went home.
I'm hoping it's all because they hate the knowledge power advantage.
Weirdly enough, the 83-17 split is like the same odds as the shot in the dark. So they managed to completely mess this up. This was the wrong move, Twitter.
Let's get into best and worst player of the pre-merge, because what we're doing next week, by all accounts, it sounds like we're doing kind of what we did last season, where you get split in half and you win the challenge and you're in, but no hourglass advantage this time. You're just in, which is cool. We like this.
And hopefully nothing in addition that's being subbed out. I know that there is kind of like a twist that was teased. Hopefully that's just the win and in twist and not like something in addition to that they're subbing out for the
you want to send someone to exile and just like isolate them and maybe give them an extra vote. Maybe. Something like that. Fine.
I'm okay with that.
We'll see. But it's not the hourglass.
Bring back the Medallion of Power.
Bring back the Medallion of Power, you cowards. So, I know technically this is, you're winning your way into the merge. Whatever. It's part of the merge. I consider it post-merge because it's everyone playing together now. So, we're done with the pre-merge after this episode. So now we're going to do our best and worst of the pre-merge. As a reminder, we cannot choose anyone who has been voted out so far for either award.
Oh, shoot, I was going to pick Lindsay.
Oh.
Yeah, Lindsay for best of the pre-merge.
No, worse.
Best. I'll go first. My best of the pre-merge, and this is tough because everyone here is very, very flawed.
Love it.
I'm going to give mine to Carla. I'm most impressed with her gameplay. She's the only one around who can keep secrets. She's only keeping her own secrets. She's exposing other people's secrets. It's exactly what I love to see. She's playing pretty measured. I don't love the Lindsay vote. So, there have been some questionable moves from her, for sure. I think everyone else is more questionable, and I just generally like that she's playing things close to the vest. So, Carla is my best of the pre-merge.
So, as weird as this sounds, I'm actually going to give it to Sammy as my best of the pre-merge, because he's got a great social bond with Gabler and Owen. He's got a great social bond with Ellie and Janine. And if you remember right, he was one of the key figures in getting the one and only person who was voted out of Baka voted out, which gave the guys a certain level of comfort and security moving through the rest of the pre-merge in voting out Mariah. He's fairly well chameleoned, and it sounds like if someone was going to get cut first on the tribe, it would be like, I guess, like Gabler from within his alliance, but even Owen was second most likely. So all things, and by the way, because of what just happened on Coco, whether we like it or not, Baka is the most unified tribe going into this merge, because at least they all still have the appearance of a tribe.
It's an illusion, but I think you're right.
So, and Sammy and Owen together are kind of acting as a glue combined between like Gabler and the other two. And you know what? If you can go in with 5 strong, that's enough to keep me appeased for a little bit. So I give it to Sammy.
He's my honorable mention, I'll say that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Honorable mention. Honorable mention also to Owen for a lot of the same reasons. Really playing that under the radar game, which is why I don't love this pick, but I'm also going to give it to Carla here. Really, the thing that puts it over the top is she has the only advantage in the game that's a secret. At least that I can think of. We champion it over and over and over again, that the importance of having that just sitting by your side, no one knows about it, ready to use or ready to share the information at the right time. And she has that idol. No one else knows about it. There's no longer a knowledge is power in the game. Who knows? It could always come back, because why not?
Jeff's done.
So I really like the way that she's playing this pre-merge. The only reason that she's not under the radar is because of the edit. She's not playing like a super obvious, loud game when it comes to the actual tribe. She's just all over our screen. Yeah. So that's why it doesn't seem like it's necessarily under the radar.
But I think this is good, because I think this is the 2 types of gameplay we champion on this podcast: keeping secrets and being socially connected.
My only rebuttal for Carla, because you can't talk about best of this pre-merge without talking about Carla, but the only 2 votes that Coco have made have been driven by Carla and James, and both of them were wrong. Both of them were wrong, and that tells me that there is serious holes in their vision and their decision making,
Potentially.
and even their understanding of this game. And so, I still like Carla a lot. I'm rooting for her to win the game. But when brass meets tacks, you need to make the right moves, and she is 0 for 2.
I'll go 1.5 and a half for so far. But Derek, I think you could 100% be right. Like, I think in the end, I think you could be proven 100% right. I wouldn't be shocked at all.
The beautiful thing is that we're shooting this live, so we'll have answers soon, but none of us have answers now.
Correct. Let's get into worst of the pre-merge. Derek, who do you got?
I have Gabler.
I have Gabler.
I have Gabler.
Womp womp.
And we're done. Let's move on. No, I think with Gabler, it's just the social game. He has some strategic chops, but physically he hasn't been very good. Socially, he's been the worst, I think, on the season. He's not a complete train wreck. I have not given him worst player of the episode once, which is pretty crazy, the fact that I still am going to give him worst player of the pre-merge, but all the people I have given worst player of the episode have done better things. They just had a bad episode, maybe two. Whereas Gabler has never had a good episode, really. Like, he did all right in the very first episode, and then after that, he's been bad.
He's been the lightning rod, kind of the butt end of every joke going on in the Baka tribe. Like, I guess there was a moment where the girls were made into fools because they thought that they were in the majority and Gabler was on the outs. But the only reason Gabler knows anything is because better players are telling him.
Yep.
And because he has an idol.
Well, yeah. So, we need him.
He would be gone if he didn't have that idol.
Yep. Yeah. Although I do think there's a very strong chance, because of all those things, that Gabler gets third place in this game.
Very, very, very good chance.
I could see it. He is someone who would draw that at the
no
end.
vote third
Keep
place.
him around.
Finalist.
He'll probably cause some problems. It'll be great. Let's get into who's going next. Normally we go to each tribe, but we're merging. So who knows who is going to win the in-and win? So we're each picking one name most likely to go home next based on everything we know so far. Josh, who do you got?
Oh boy, again. We're really shot in the dark in here. We've got a couple people without a vote. We have a few people with idols.
Should we go over?
Actually,
what everyone's got?
Before we make our prediction here, that might be a good time to do it.
So everyone's still got shot in the dark. Hasn't been played yet, but we'll go through everybody. Cody has a hidden immunity idol. Janine has a hidden immunity idol. Carla has a hidden immunity idol. Gabler has a hidden immunity idol that's only good for one more tribal council.
So he's gonna play it. Well, should at the merge.
And Noelle has a vote steal, and that's where we're at.
Yep. So there's a lot of advantage going out there. No votes.
Jesse has no vote. Janine has no vote.
Correct.
I think that's it.
Yep, I believe so. I think we're going to get Idol-geddon here, where 3 of the 4 idols get played.
Could see it.
If not all 4, but I can see someone who seems really safe just hanging on to those.
And half this group should be immune.
True. Yeah, so maybe only like 2 idols get played, but maybe an idol gets played for someone else, not themselves to save them. So I think we get a couple of idols here that are played. And the person that I'm picking here, just because it seems like it could be a solid first boot, is Sammy. I am going with Sammy here.
He is like an older classic merge boot because he's the biggest guy on the season. We don't do that as often in Mono Survivor, but definitely like earlier seasons, Sammy is the classic merge boot.
And I will say Ryan is bigger.
It's Ryan and Sammy. Those are the two big
Yes.
guys.
And that's not really the direction I was taking with it. I don't know. For some reason, I think that one of these tribes, assuming that they're not going to all break off, which is very possible, but just assuming that they're going to stick together, one of the original tribes is probably going to be left on the outs. And I'm just going to, predict randomly that it's going to be Baka. People are going to see Sammy and just going to, him, go for it.
Interesting, because based on what we saw last week when we saw Vessi helping Baka at the challenge, I was kind of thinking the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
That Vessi and Baka would stick together, go after Coco. And the other part of that, you would think Coco would unite in the face of that adversary. They have fractured. They're the most fractured group. So they're going to turn on each other, I think. Somebody in Coco is going, unless advantage getting happens, and, who knows. So who do I land on? Hard to say. I would bet both groups. Ryan's going to try and throw the other 3 under the bus. The 3 are going to try to throw Ryan under the bus. I'm going to land on Ryan just because he's the biggest physical threat. Plus, he's my winner pick, so if he does go out, at least I want to predict it. And if I'm wrong, I'm alive. So I'm going to pick Ryan as going next.
The ultimate hedge.
It's a weird merge with funky dynamics, and yet somehow Ryan and I are 100% in lockstep. I was like, Baka and Vessi, you know, they had that little connection at the immunity challenge. It's as good as anything to maybe start a conversation on the merge beach. And for some reason, I can just see those two groups getting along well enough to make a working relationship over whatever's happening on Coco right now. And I also think that Carla and James are very adaptable, and I can see them coming in because, I mean, even just last season, we saw like a whole new group kind of get formed by little voting pockets. Ryan does not have a home, and I don't think Ryan's social game is adept enough to find a new one, and he's a classic merge boot. Yep. So I landed on Ryan for all those reasons.
After you guys like spell it out that way, it almost makes too much sense.
Yeah, probably.
And it's not like like you're talking about it like it's going to be a unanimous vote, like everyone on Ryan, and that just seems so unlikely to me. It's possible.
Maybe they'll split between like Ryan and James.
Yeah, and also we're talking like we know who's going to be safe.
Yeah, that's the whole other. Ryan can be on the
giant asterisk in there.
It's okay to be wrong on this podcast. We all are frequently wrong except me. But on this particular prediction section, we're going to be wrong. It's fine.
Yeah, well, Cody's going to play his idol on Noelle. Noelle's going to steal James's vote. Carla is actually going to turn her idol into the Medallion of Power, give it to Jeff.
Everyone is going to play Shot in the Dark.
Everyone's going to play Shot in the Dark.
10 Shot in the Darks.
And then Suri goes home.
Yeah, Suri's going to go home. Yeah, I predict Suri is going to go home in this episode. What can we do? All right, so let's get into what I think will be our shortest segment, Who Can't Win? Gabler.
Cool.
All right, last thing we got to talk about, Derek doesn't matter here. Josh and I are still alive in our survivor pool. Josh, why don't you start us off? Who are you moving on to?
Yeah, so I really narrowed it down to two people, and for a refresher, I am not allowed to pick Gabler, Jesse, Carla, or James, all of who are still in the game, which does not bode well for me long term here. But, you know, we're going to roll with it still. I narrowed it down to two people who I see as being the safest here in these situations. And that is Janine and Cody, just because they both have idols. I know that Janine does not have a vote, but I don't think that necessarily matters as much going into the merge here. Yes, I know that Gabler has an idol, but I already picked him. Yes, Carla has an idol. I already picked her. So that only leaves the other two left. Out of those two, you know, I think that this is as good of time as any to use up my Cody pick. Because I don't know how long he's going to be in this game. He could even be the merge boot.
Yep.
But I have faith in him playing his idol if he feels like he needs to. So I'm going to use him now so that I don't have to worry about using him later in the post-merge.
Say what you will about Cody, but the dude, I think, can read people.
He can. Yep. He really can.
Well, I, like Josh, cannot pick Gabler, Carlo, or James. But I can also not pick Cody.
Yep.
That leaves one person. Janine is my pick, just because she's got the idol.
All right, we finally are switching it up here after having 2 straight weeks of picking the same person. But I like how we've used almost completely the same list, just jumbled up a little bit.
It's the idol people.
Yep. But hey, that's going to make it interesting here if we both make it past the merge.
Yeah, we're going to struggle to pick people coming up here. All right, that is the last episode of the pre-merge. So next time we'll be merging it up. I'm excited. I'm really excited to see how this plays out without this stupid hourglass twist. Because the last 2 times we've merged, it's just been me sitting here raging. So it'll be nice to hopefully not be raging this time. I was going to be raging in this episode too, but the knowledge just powers out of the game. LOL.
We can live happily now.
All right, you can follow us on Twitter at Castaway Pod. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram. You can check out our website. We're on Reddit sometimes. Talk to us. We're fun to talk to.
If you like to see our beautiful faces, you can go check out our YouTube. Subscribe, like, comment, all that stuff. We'll respond anywhere.
Rob Sesternino liked one of our tweets from our podcast account, so he knows we exist. Rob, big fan of the podcast.
Thanks, Rob. Love Rob. Rob as a podcast is great. I'm a big fan.
Just so we know, we do love you.
I know. I've been listening to Rob as a podcast forever. Rob is one of the inspirations for me to get into podcasting.
Yep.
So, no, I love Rob. Rob, thanks for liking our tweet. We appreciate it. I doubt you're listening to this, but just in case.
Thanks for looking out for the little guy.
Yeah, we really do appreciate it. So everyone go listen to Rob as a podcast and the Castaway Consultants.
Yeah, they need help, so go listen to them.
You know, they definitely need our endorsement. But you know what? I'll endorse it anyway.
Yeah.
Because I love it.
Heck yeah.
Years of entertainment for Rob. All right, this has been the Castaway Consultants.
Got nothing else for you?
Good night.